We're going 6 down to 1, yeah?
6-1. Yep.
6 to 1. Doesn't Chicago have a song that's like 25 to 6 to 4 or something?
25 or 6-4. Yeah.
That's the one.
That's a great song too. Which I don't know. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that they got the title of that song because somebody asked somebody the time and they said, I don't know, 25 or 6-4. And they're like, oh, song title.
And then they have another, remember that.
And then they have another song called "Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is?" So maybe they were kind of obsessed with clocks, and then they became obsessed with AOR ballads later on down the line. Anyway, that should be the beginning of this episode. Hello, welcome to the Chicago Tranked. Never mind, scratch that. Here's
Tranked and
we're not drunk. Yes, Cranked and Ranked. Hello, welcome to Cranked and Ranked. I like beginning shows in a kind of a different way, a little more casual. Like you're just coming in, you're coming in to join us at the pub and we're having a conversation and you come and sit down and bring your beer and we're like, welcome, join in. Today we're going to be ranking Testament part 2.
Hell yeah.
Of, the Testament ranking. I didn't get any hatred for all of my gathering nonsense. I guess it's because at the end of the day, I really like that album. I just think it's for a Testament album, it's pretty overrated. But it seemed like a lot of people kind of had the same sort of feeling that it just depends on what you're wanting out of Testament, and like the lists could be completely different. Some people really don't care for their newer stuff, and other people prefer the newer stuff. And so you got to say they're kind of a unique band in that way, because it's kind of like Sepultura as well. Sepultura has fans that just like the old stuff and some that just like the new stuff or think the new stuff is superior or whatever, and eventually we will get to that band, just letting you guys know. Before you know it, this year, right? Don't we have plans to do Sepultura this year?
It'll be within the next 4 or 5 months or so. So all right, stick around.
That'll be a good one too. But today we're wrapping up Testament with the top half, or number 6 down to up to number 1. What we think is the best Testament album. Obviously, we are just two dudes with opinions, and we try to.
And we are right every time.
Okay, never mind. I was going to try to make some sort of excuse, and we try to be subjective or is it objective? Those are words that I need to look up more often because I use them wrong all the time. So I'm just going to say we tried to be fair, but also go along with how we feel about albums. Because at the end of the day, it's music, it's art, it's how you feel about it, what it makes you feel, your relationship with that particular album or artist or song or whatever. And so that brings us to here, second half of Testament. I think since we're talking about Testament, it would be appropriate before we even begin to do a little tribute to Mr. Johnny Zazula, or Johnny Z, as you may know him. He passed away this last week, and he was one half of the husband-wife team that started Megaforce Records. His wife, Marcia, I think she died last year, maybe the year before. So the Zazulas are now gone from this earth, unfortunately, but we have to say something about them, not just because Testament, a lot of their shit was on Megaforce, or at the first, I don't know how 4 or 5 albums were on Megaforce. Even when they got signed, they were, did like a co-thing where they had a major label and Megaforce. But not only that, Megaforce Records is responsible for the beginning of 3 of my favorite bands of all time, and then later on they put out content by another one of my favorite bands of all time. So you got Metallica and Anthrax, both started Megaforce Records.
Testament already bangers.
Testament started on Megaforce Records. King's X started on fucking Megaforce Records. And that,
damn.
Yeah, that is, they put out, they did the same thing. I think Testament, not Testament, I think King's X was on Megaforce through their fourth or fifth album when they went to a major, but then they came, I believe they came back, and Megaforce has been put out other things by them. But then on top of that, later in their career, Living Color put out albums on Megaforce Records. So, but then there's other bands that you could all name as like bands that you love that also had some kind of relationship with Megaforce Records. So they are an insanely important label, still going. I'm assuming that, you know, somebody else is taking it over. But I just had to say, you know, rest in peace, Johnny Z.
Rest in peace.
Super important dude in my life. If, I mean, I'm sure somebody would have, you know, taken a liking to Metallica and shown them on their way, but the way that it ended up working out, it was through Megaforce. And so my favorite band of all time started there. And, you know, that the dude clearly means a lot to people like me that, you know, are really into these bands. So yeah. Rest in peace, Johnny Z. And now we'll get on to talking about a bunch of albums that were on Megaforce Records today, except for one. There's one that I'm going to talk about that wasn't on Megaforce. So our top 6 Testament albums, and let's just fucking jump right into it with Eddie Sparxx and his number 6 Testament album.
Cool. So my number 6 Testament album is Low.
All right.
Yo, some mercy. Fucking awesome. This is their like foray into, I'd say their proper foray into the 90s, where they went full on groove metal. You had their kind of Black Album attempt, so to speak, with The Ritual.
Yeah.
But that was still very much rooted in what I would consider a more old school heavy metal kind of vibe.
Sure.
With this one, you know, 1994 is what I would consider the birth of modern metal as we call it today. You had some game-changing shit happening during this year, and pretty much everything that followed it can be traced back to this period. And yeah, I'm just going to jump straight in. Low is a groove metal mission statement. Fantastic song. Legions.
That's got to be, Low's got to be up there with like do you feel like the best like album openers? Like Low is way up on that list, because that's a hell of a way to kick off an album.
It truly is. And that's the thing. Songwriting wise, it doesn't feel too different to what they were doing. It's just at a slower tempo.
Yeah.
So like, I imagine like had this come out like 4 years prior, it would be like, well,
it probably would also be in standard tuning. And I think Low is
But yeah, it's a killer song to open a record on. Then you get Legions, In Hiding. That's a really good one for the In Hiding. Like too, because it's like it sounds sneaky.
That's a great use of the parenthesis right there. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's got
unlike that really bizarre Billy Idol one that didn't make any sense whatsoever. It was like,
was that do not stand? Oh, what is it? It was like,
no, it was called stand in something, but in parentheses it was don't stand.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what?
Yeah, that's the one.
Don't stand in the shadows or something like that.
That's the one. But in the song he says, "Do not stand in the shadows." It's like, just say "do not,"
or just make the song "Don't Stand in the Shadows." Like, why has it got to be in parentheses? It's like the song usually known as "Stand in the Shadows" because you might want to stand in the shadows. We talked about this already. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm repeating myself. Go watch the Billy Idol episode, which is pretty fun.
Legions, In Hiding. It's this awesome sliding riff in there, like those chords, those octave kind of power chords where you mute the fifth.
Yeah,
those are always like, when they're moving around so quick, they're always impressive to me. Hail Mary, like, this might not be a thrash album, but there's no denying that they transitioned to the groove metal thing exceptionally well. Like
Yeah.
they always had a groove element to them anyway. Like you could call them at times like proto groove, you know. Um, God, what else have we got? Trail of Tears, awesome song.
Which
Like
okay, I got a bone to pick with you because last time I feel like you tricked me into thinking that my brain was going in my old age because I'm all like, yeah, there's a ballad on Low, and you're like, I was being facetious, and I'm like, wait, what did I? I don't know what. And now I don't even know what you meant by that, but it had my brain like I immediately got through with the episode and went to go listen. Like, am I fucking? Is something going wrong with my brain where I thought that was a ballad? And turns out nothing is wrong with mine. Nothing's wrong with this brain at this point. Anyway,
yeah. You're all
ballad
good,
on
buddy.
this. I love that this song is on this album because it's perfect. It's such an amazing song, but it
Yeah.
also just it breaks up the flow of the album. And God, why are people so afraid of doing slow songs now? Like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is the problem? You
It's
know?
because it's for posers, nerd.
Yeah.
Your face said it all.
I think I said it last time that if you're that worried about coming off like a poser, then aren't you the one putting up the facade? So
Ballads get you laid. That's clearly something these people don't think about, bud.
that's true.
That's the way. That's the way cultured individuals like ourselves
Everything's
conduct
judged
ourselves.
on the factor of will you get laid from this or not.
But it's an awesome, like, really very. It's got like a personal connection historically, considering Chuck Billy is of Native American descent.
Yep.
There's actually quite a thing of Native descendants in thrash, isn't there? Because we got Joey Belladonna as well, is also of
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yep.
But they make kick-ass thrash vocalists.
Yeah, clearly.
Shades of War, more groovy heaviness. It's a very straight-faced, no bullshit album. It's like this is gonna rip your balls off and reattach them the other way around. Like, it kicks major testes, my dude.
I mean, immediately in my head, I'm like, you attach them the other way around. What does that mean? Because I've never looked at my balls from the other side, so I don't know if there's a difference in the two sides. But I'm assuming, and in how this whole system of your body works, like creating sperm and whatnot. Yeah, I guess it would matter.
I would imagine they'd be rendered slightly more vulnerable as there's like more shit going on at the back of them. But aside from that, yeah,
that's just such a weird threat. Like, I'm gonna cut your balls off and put them back on backwards.
I mean, everybody's gonna walk away from this episode with a nice new creative insult.
Yeah,
or a threat rather.
that would probably take care of, like, disarming a hostile person. If you tell them something like that, they would be equally like, oh, you're threatening me, but also, wait, what? All right, bye.
Yeah. A, this guy's a fucking freak, and secondly, this guy knows a little bit too much about anatomy for me to start a fight with him.
Yeah. What does he know about the human anatomy, especially the nutsack that I don't know? I'm gonna go home and Google that. Fuck this fight.
Where are we at? Shades of War. Yep.
We were on that.
Yeah, I done that. P, C. I was doing the full stops there. No, that's a new one in case, instead of the parentheses or brackets as they're known in this country. But yeah, there's some sleazy riffage in P, C. Dog-faced gods going full death growl on this one. Like, this showcases a sound they'd really go for on the following album, Demonic. This is the most death metal thing you're getting on here. All I Could Bleed is just riffy groovage. Here we go. You're right, Dookie Doji. I totally didn't say that right. But all the all the letters were there.
To be completely honest, that's the first time I've ever heard that name of the name of that song said out loud.
I mean, I probably said it completely wrong, but
so if nobody's ever said it out loud before, then you're right. You created what it actually is.
Hey, I'm a visionary. Remember me when I get to the top. It's a badass kind of funky instrumental. Chasing Fear. It's like slightly funky groover.
Yeah.
Ride has Fear Factory vibes with that drum pattern. Last Call. Now, this is an interesting one. Like, Last Call, it could have just ended with Ride, but it is the 90s, so, you know, extended runtimes are mandatory. So it's a cool guitar harmony thing, but it's, you know, it's a cool way to close out, but it's not the most necessary of tracks, but it's still cool, though. Yeah. It's a pretty damn good foray into the groove metal of the 90s. However, I have a soft spot for the old school vibe of the stuff that came before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a hand it over to you for your number 6.
Awesome. I'm gonna come at you from the other end of things for my number 6.
Oh shit! Where's he coming from?
My number 6 is The Legacy from 1987.
Wow.
The debut album.
Okay.
So it's interesting because this album had to go in the top half because it's where it all started. And not only that, like, they already kind of had their own sound. Like, the Testament sound is pretty much already there. Like, I like the fact that you can make comparisons with other thrash bands, but I really do think they kind of, in that world, they have their own unique way of doing things. Their riff writing and Chuck's vocals.
Yeah.
And I just love how right out of the gate, they kind of had all their shit together. And this is a classic thrash album. Like, you know, being at number 6 doesn't really, in the world of Testament, doesn't really mean much. It's all really strong stuff. And also, like, right out of the gate, the interplay between Peterson and Skolnick is already sounding fucking badass. Like, it's I mean, it's like, you know, I said it on the last episode, those two were meant to play together, and it just sounds amazing on this album. So this ends up at number 6, even though I do really like it, because I do think that over their next few albums and later on in their career too, the songwriting improves, the lyrics especially improve. Now maybe I'm shitting all over Steve Zetro, because a lot of these he had lyrics to when he was the singer when they were called Legacy. But I don't, the lyrics are kind of silly. And some of it, if you listen to the songs in a row and you really start picking apart like what they're doing, there's a sameness to several songs where I'm just like, oh, it's kind of the same tempo. It's kind of the same format of the song. It's just different riffs and different vocals, but the vocals are also kind of the same. So there's a lot of that on here. So while it is classic, and I love this album, it's great. If you're really talking about what Testament could do, what they were capable of doing, they would blow this album away, in my opinion, several times over. So yeah, they would do much better than this, but this album started it all, and it's an absolute classic. So it had to be in the top half. So it rounds out my top 6 as the number 6, The Legacy.
Nice. I have a question to ask, seeing as it's on my mind and it's behind you. Is because the only version of The Legacy I own is a CD. I don't have a vinyl of it yet. Is the vinyl mastered as quietly as it is on the CD? Because, like, I have it on my phone, and it is one of the quietest albums I have. Like, if something on shuffle, if it's on shuffle and I have it on like the Bluetooth speaker while I'm in the shower, like something from the New Order comes on and it's like, fucking really loud. And then immediately something from the Legacy comes on and it's virtually inaudible.
Unfortunately, I don't have the, cause when you're playing a record, you're not listening to something back to back where it makes that kind of difference. But I don't remember having to crank the volume up ever listening to the Legacy. I'm assuming it's probably the one that's available digitally, maybe it's not a remastered one and the other ones are, and
Yeah.
they boosted the volume, but it's never struck me as anything that's like super low. But a lot of older recordings, like, they're not, brick walled all the shit like they are now, and so you
Yeah.
turn them up and it's like, I don't know, I guess that kind of thing has never bothered me enough for it to even register when I put on something. you know there's a few
Fair.
records like that where you do really have to turn it up, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I mean, does it still sound good once I turn it up? Cool.
Oh, I have some news. It's personal news. It doesn't affect any of our listeners. However, I thought I'd bring it up. I have good news. I'm
Okay.
getting my old vinyl setup back because I'm moving
Nice.
house. And
Wow.
I get to
So like
I got my kick ass.
a brand new house?
Nah, it's back with other members of family, but I'm converting
Gotcha.
I'm converting the extension into a studio to make badass shit in. And
Nice. This is good news, people. This is
yeah,
good news.
I've been in a house for the last 3.5 years where I can't even put posters on the wall, which
Damn.
fucking sucks.
Damn.
But
I'd put them up anyway.
I got a Soundgarden poster from my friend. I stuck it on a wall. I stuck it on the door. It's technically not a wall, so
Yeah.
it's allowed, or at least I think it is. But yeah, moving house kicks ass. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. Get out of that oppressive place where you can't put posters on the wall. Jeez.
Yeah, that sucks. What do you want to do with your life?
That's exactly what I thought of. Like, somebody shows up to like yell at you for your posters being on the wall, and then all of a sudden Twisted Sister show up and they fly out of the window.
We're not gonna take it. I love those 80s Twisted Sister videos.
Yeah.
But more on that in the Twisted Sister episode we will also be doing this year at some point.
Man, we were giving a lot away to these listeners and viewers.
Hey, they don't know when it's coming though.
That's true.
So
That's true.
they'll be waiting with bated breath.
You're just going to be walking down the street one day, minding your own business, and boom, Twisted Sister, Cranked and Ranked.
Mr. Sister
on your uniform. This is going to be.
I carried an M16 and you carry that guitar.
We're blowing all that out.
Yeah.
cut it off there. That's a little taste of the Twisted Sister one that will come sometime in the future.
They'll get a rerun.
Yeah.
Cool. So my number five is Souls of Black. Right out of the gate, like, of their first 4 albums, this is the one I've spent the least time with, and that has nothing to do with the quality of the album. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. Back when I was a teenager, I would mostly buy music on CD because I could rip it to my iPod.
I love how you say back when I was a teenager, 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Like I developed the grandpa mentality very, very swiftly. But yeah, I would buy music on CD because I could rip it to my iPod and still have a physical copy. And this was before you were guaranteed to get a download code with a vinyl. So I thought to myself, I would reserve vinyl for like my favorite albums, you know?
Yeah.
But I was staunchly anti-streaming initially because I really wanted to support the artist, and I was a stubborn kid that didn't like change. We fear change. I would buy CDs from HMV in Truro, Cornwall's one and only city. And in the metal section, they had pretty much every Testament album, but this one. And like, I feel like there may have been like a market research element to that. Like, they might have been, hey, they really like the first 3, and they say the 4th one isn't very memorable, but we also have a shit ton of copies of The Ritual for some reason. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's why I never really spent a lot of time with this one compared to like all the other early Testament stuff. But yeah, beginning and the end, If I had a quid for every thrash album from 89 to 90 that opened with an acoustic instrumental track, I'd never have to work
Fuck,
again.
starting with Ride the Lightning. It's like 84
Yeah.
or whatever, you know?
I know, but it's like you look at albums like this one, and then you've got Twisted into Form also starts like that.
Yeah.
Alice in Hell also starts like that. Like there's this big glut of thrash albums that start
To
acoustically.
be honest, a lot of bands are fucking up by not doing that, because that's the international sign of, oh, get ready for some shit. There's an acoustic intro.
I'm gonna rip your nuts off and put them on backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, but it goes straight into Face in the Sky, which, you know, is an excellent opener, showing off their groovy thrash chops once again.
Yep.
Falling Fast, Furious. This song is pissed at you. Love that massive reverb on Chuck's voice. Chuck's voice and reverb are a match made in heaven, because the dude can literally, you know, just make a hey, like it sounds so cool to hear his voice travel for like miles.
Yeah.
Then you get the title track, Souls of Black, one of the most badass opening bass lines ever, and the one track I knew from this album for a long time. Blah, blah, blah. Absence of Light. I had a little bit of a stroke there. Oh shit! The verse riffs in Absence of Light are the stuff of dreams. They're tasty. Love to Hate is the tempo shifting around Love to Hate is really fun. Malpractice. Chuck Billy has a way about him that just adds another three levels of badass on top of an already ass kicking sound. One Man's Fate is a gnarly song, and that outro is evil as fuck. The Legacy, juicy chorus guitar. Love that. Y'all know me, longtime listeners. Big fan of clean chorus guitar. And then you get 7 Days of May, another gnarly one. But stylistically, though, this album is a bit of a plateau, because it's the least memorable of their thrash era for a reason, because it doesn't really evolve off of the journey that is the first three. They get progressively tighter, and you know, with this one, it just kind of, I've heard some people criticize the production as well. It does sound a little bit boxy at times. On the flip side, though, I'm a slut for reverb, so I love.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't change how this album sounds, though. That's the thing, is that if my gripes only come from having to rank them. I've never, before that, I'm like, whatever. I like the way this sounds. It sounds like it's from 1990, you know, and also, I would say that Souls of Black is probably my favorite album cover that they did.
It is a really cool album cover.
They've done a shitload of amazing artwork for, well, they didn't do it, you know what I'm saying? But the Souls of Black album cover is cool as fuck.
They're very much like Metallica in that regard. They never really went for, you know, barring Kill 'Em All, which even then isn't like a full-on blood and gore, you know, what the fuck is happening, there's just guts everywhere kind of metal thing. That thrash bands were remarkably tasteful a lot of the time with their artwork. Testament's artwork is very moody. Like, it always sets something of a tone. Like, look at the four behind you. It kind of sets a tone, and it does that really well.
Also, like, you know, you see like a lot of, you know, their old album covers and stuff, and like the, you know, that Testament logo, and it being like they put it like as big as it can go in the top of the album cover. Yeah. And like every time I see it, I just go, man, is that the best metal band name ever? Like, Testament is such a fucking rad name for a band.
It is a good one.
Like, because obviously Metallica is a pretty damn good name, but even back in the day when I first heard about Metallica, I was like, what does that even mean? Metallica? But like, Testament is a word you can look it up in the dictionary. You know what it is, and it just looks fucking rad, and it just sounds like if you want everyone to tell everyone, like, get ready for this fucking band, like, Testament is like, it's fucking great. It begins and ends with a T. It looks, You know, it just looks awesome.
And it's got the absolute perfect thing for a thrash logo, because if it doesn't look like it would be a major health and safety violation, like
Yeah.
like I remember someone saying that if a thrash album doesn't have a logo that looks like it could seriously hurt someone, it's not a thrash logo.
I don't know. You could do some damage with the Testament, though, especially like the one on the New Order. It looks like it's made out of steel. You can probably
Yeah, well,
beat somebody
yeah.
over the head with it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, aren't the T, A, and other T all connected by like one big?
I think they are. So you could just grab it by that and then bludgeon somebody to death.
Like
that's
that
the new Cannibal Corpse song, "Bludgeoned by the Testament" logo, and then died.
That's a throwback. Yep. Oh, I love that. You want to hear some funny shit? Go listen to the Cannibal Corpse episodes.
Those were fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Unfortunately, we weren't doing video at that point, so it's like it's not quite, you don't get quite the experience. But if you're into podcast listening, then go check that out.
They know our lovely faces by now. I'm sure they'll be able to visualize it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Or just like maybe we should, if you want, like send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Cranked and Ranked, and we'll respond with pictures of ourselves that you can set up in front of you whenever you're listening to Cranked and Ranked.
They're like holographic, so like every time you want to like mimic us laughing, you have to shake it like fuck.
I like that idea.
That's the thing though, like I there is one criticism I do have about the artwork for Souls of Black, is that the Testament logo isn't chunky. It's like all the letters are by themselves, and it's kind of like.
But I like that. I like the fact that it's almost like the logo is kind of hiding a little bit.
Yeah,
and in the forefront are these cloaked figures that look rad as fuck. So yeah,
I get that. There's just something about me though that wants to see like a chunky 3D red Testament logo. Looks like a big ass ruby. Okay, yeah. Souls of Black.
You're done with that?
Yeah, I'm done with Souls of Black.
Sweet. Once again, I'm jumping to a totally different area from you for my number 5. My number 5 is The Formation of Damnation from 2008. Killer fucking album. The return of Alex Skolnick. At this point, because it's been 14 years, I think, since this came out, 2008 to now, around 14 years. This album just sounds like a fucking classic album to me now. I play it and I'm just like, God damn, this album is just, it's still as good to me today as it was back when it came out. And then obviously you got Greg Christian on bass, and then so this would be his last, I think. I don't remember when he left. Anyway, Paul Bostoff on drums. I mean, which I've had my criticisms of him in the past, but for the most part, the dude rules. And on this album, he absolutely rules.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I just think this album is chock full of badassness. Like, it's banger after banger, really well written songs. It takes what they were attempting to do with The Gathering, and it does it so much better. Because obviously we talked about this, about how once they reach demonic, all of the pieces of the Testament puzzle are now there, and they put them together on The Gathering, but it's not quite right. And then they rearrange them, and finally they form up, the modern Testament sound, which is on this one. And it just, the fact that like this far along in their career, which they've obviously gone even further now, but in 2008, a band coming out with an album this good, just it's like how I felt. I mean, even on a grander scale, I felt about Death Magnetic, because I was just like, holy shit. And I felt the same way about Formation of Damnation. I was just like, I can't believe that they came back with something this good. And And so that's a testament, get it, to
Hey,
why a lot of people consider them like one of the best metal bands ever, because they did. I mean, and that's why I can't, even, we rank their newer stuff lower because it gets a little bit samey. But at the same time, like I said it many times, like their worst album is better than most bands' best albums. And,
yeah,
and so, it's, and the fact that they still, once they got back together for formation, they've regularly put out albums at least every 3 years, I think. And
mm,
so, I just, yeah, it just, I like that they keep doing stuff. Like I said last time, I hope when they put out another album, we get something a little different. I don't know what exactly that would be, but we'll find out.
dubstep.
I would be fine with that. Like, if they want to add some sort of weird electronic element or something that like is completely left field, like I would be the one singing their praises and pushing them along.
I've got it. Testament goes vaporwave.
Okay,
I,
is that a
I,
thing?
I,
Is that a thing anymore?
I'm into it. I'm ready to hear them take their old stuff and just slow it the fuck down.
All right. Jubie, fucking
In post.
testament chopped and screwed. That'll
Yeah.
be the next
It's
next
not a
one.
bad. It's
That's
not
a
a bad
local
album title. Like,
that's a
oh,
local reference over here. That
yeah.
I live in the city where the chopped and screwed style started.
Damn.
So yeah, which is essentially
That-
just taking a song and slowing it way the fuck down and turning the bass up. Okay, it's like, but still, the fact that it's, it was it's a big deal around here.
It's funny because Chopped and Screwed literally sounds like a fucking Cannibal Corpse song. Like,
Chopped and screwed. Why isn't so? Okay, who out there has the ability and the technology? If it hasn't already been done, why is there not a Cannibal Corpse chopped and screwed? Imagine their music slowed down. Why isn't somebody do that? Whoever knows how to do that.
I think it probably has. It's just under the name of like Hammer Smashed Face 20% slower.
Oh, but I feel like I feel like I need to do some research and figure out how to do it and put out Cannibal Corpse chopped and screwed.
I can show you. It's like mad easy. All you got to do is go on. You use GarageBand for this, don't you?
Yep. Or
There
in
should
America,
be.
Garage Band.
Oh, damn.
Talk American.
There's a little thing called Flex Time, and all you have to do is click that, then select speed, and then there's a little thing at the top right that you just pull, and it just stretches the song out like a slinky. Yeah, you'll have some fun with that.
That's a project. That's a project I'm gonna get on. Cannibal Corpse chopped and screwed. Then I'll get sued by them, or whatever.
Chopped and sued.
Chopped and sued. Anyway, back to Formation of Damnation.
Hell yeah.
Amazing album, amazing songs, a great variety of songs like that. Like I've said it several times. Testament. While I do make the argument that their last few albums have been sort of samey, within the albums they vary things up with the different flavors of Testament, and I just think this is the best example of what they've done this millennium. Like it just nails it all the way around, in my opinion. So that's why it ends up my number 5. Formation of Damnation. Moving on.
Cool. Nice. Right. My number 4 is their 5th record, The Ritual.
Nice.
I fucking love this album so much.
Yep.
I would say it's the easiest one to get into if I'm in any mood. Like, I can throw this one on in any kind of metal mood and be really into it. It has that kind of middle ground appeal that the Black Album has, that Countdown to Extinction has. If I want to hear stuff that's in a thrash zone that's not really doing the sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This is one of the albums I reach for. And yeah, Signs of Chaos is this cool intro, and then immediately they hit you with probably the hookiest song, the most infectious song they ever wrote, with Electric Crown.
Mhm.
Insanely catchy song. Um, and then right after that, you kind of get, um, I mean, obviously, you can kind of draw a parallel to Sad But True following Enter Sandman with these two openers, really, because you've
Yeah.
got So Many Lies, which is a really slow, groovy sort of thing, and it kind of foreshadows the sound they would adopt on Low.
So here's the thing though. Like I've heard comparisons made, like they were trying to make a Black Album, when they made this. But if you think about like what goes into songwriting and producing and recording and releasing an album,
Hmm.
they had to have been going on at similar time periods. Like it's not, I don't think
Yeah.
they heard the Black Album and said we got to do one of those. I think it's just similar, like the whatever you call it,
The
the
vibe was
the vibe
shifting.
of what music was going on at the time and what people were listening to, because I think that there was so much great music out there that wasn't all just fast. And
Mm.
if you don't have your head up your own ass, you realize there's other great music out there that isn't just
Yeah.
fast. So a lot of these bands, a lot of the best bands, in my opinion, were the ones that said, look, we already nailed this fast shit. There's all this other great music out there. Let's fuck with some other shit. And so I think it
Yeah.
was just like-minded bands. Unfortunately, in my opinion, The Ritual should have been maybe not as big as the Black Album, but it should have been. It should have been.
Massively
It should
successful.
have been very
In
successful, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, I like what you said there, that, true musicians, listen to a lot more than just fast shit.
Yeah.
Um, I would say I would agree with you on terms of the songwriting was definitely still unique to them. I
Mhm.
think where the Black Album comparisons kind of come in are with the sequencing of how the album kind of moves.
Yeah.
Because you get Electric Crown is like their Enter Sandman, and then followed up with So Many Lies, and then they bring the pace back up again with another real catchy one, Let Go of My World, which
Yeah.
is also, I think, should have been a big song.
Yeah.
I similar in feel to Electric Crown, and I'm all for it. And then track 4, The Ritual, big old spooky track. It's not a ballad, but there are spooky parts in it that are very subdued. And it also sounds like the exact sort of thing id Software would rip off for a dungeon level in the original Doom games. Because I think they probably did. Because if anybody is a gamer in the audience here, um,
Gaming's
like
not just for
myself,
nerds anymore, Eddie.
it was when I'm talking about this. But
That's true. That's true. Back when it's like, what game are you playing? Doom or Leisure Suit Larry? Like, what do you?
yeah, like that's the thing. I love that when you go and listen to the music, like their general MIDI versions of pretty much Pantera, Metallica, Slayer, and Alice in Chains songs, because
Yeah.
there's one level in the game that's not even being subtle. You know straight out of the gate it's them bones, where like you enter and it's like they just added another bar.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite of all of them is one of them opens up and it sounds like South of Heaven but slightly different. But the drum fills at the start are verbatim
Yeah.
exactly what Dave Lombardo plays. Like, how they never got sued for that shit, I do not know. They probably liked it. They probably thought,
Yeah.
free publicity.
They already did a Doom movie, right?
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
like mid 2000s.
This is, yeah, okay. I never saw it, but my brain immediately went to, because we were talking about video games recently. Dwayne The Rock Johnson said one of his upcoming movies is an adaptation of one of the most popular video games ever. And I'm like, is it Call of Duty, or because I'm thinking like he wouldn't do Grand Theft Auto because you can't do a family friendly version of Grand Theft Auto. Although that I'd go see that movie. Like imagine if they did a Grand Theft Auto movie, but they did it like really irreverent and kind of like fucked with everything and made it this ridiculous movie. That would be fun. But I'm just thinking like the only thing I can think of, it's got to be a Call of Duty movie, right? Because there hasn't been one of those.
Well, here's the thing. Dwayne the Rock Johnson is in a shit ton of movies. Like,
and you know what? To be absolutely honest, I enjoy pretty much all of them.
Yeah,
I don't really care. I didn't think I was going to like Jungle Cruise as much as I did. It's a movie based off a fucking ride. I guess you could say that about Pirates of the Caribbean, but I was like, this is a goddamn fun movie, dude. Like
one of my what? Oh, sorry. You say your thing first. You were mid sentence.
It was like train of thought because I remember like because I had a good friend. This is going to be a tangent. I'm sorry because my brain already goes somewhere else. I had a really good friend. Well, I mean, he's still a good friend, but we don't see each other really anymore. But when we hung out a lot in the early 2000s, he was really into wrestling, which at that point was like it was still called WWF, I think, and then there was WCW. Like there was all this wrestling. But anyway, he convinced me to go 2 different times with him to go see like whatever they used to call it, where it was broadcast live for WWF, like Sunday night something or Monday night something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like literally Monday Night Raw, I think. But it was literally there were cameras everywhere, and like I got to see like China and I don't know if Stone Cold was there, but I know The Rock was early on in his career, but he was big enough now where he was like one of the headliners, like he did later on shit.
Yeah.
But two quick things. Number one, after seeing him there, and then soon after that, The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live. I remember looking at my friend and saying, "This motherfucker is the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's going to be in shitloads of movies." And I was like, it ended up happening. But no, my favorite story from going to the Monday Night Raw or whatever is, we all went and everyone makes signs because you want to get on TV. So they're all signs, I don't know, remember what mine said. It was probably something really stupid, but but anyway, that doesn't matter. Everyone's like getting really into it. We were like second or third row from the ring. Like we're there. And we're sitting there, and I don't remember who was fighting, but there was some shit going on, and behind me I hear this little kid go, "You're a cocksucker," and I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around, and this little kid is on his dad's shoulders, and his dad goes, "Yeah, you suck dick." And I was just like, that is family bonding right there. A kid and his dad both yelling vaguely homophobic slurs at wrestlers.
Remember, kids, raise them right.
Anyway, so I don't know how we got off on Dwayne the Rock. Oh, because video games. I'm sorry. And I totally like whatever you were saying. I just like steamrolled all over that. But that was my wrestling chunk.
I was just going to say that I saw a meme the other day, and it's one of my favorite ones I've seen in a long time. And it's like, it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson in 4 separate movies wearing pretty much exactly the same outfit. Like, like the light brown, beige, kind of sweaty button-up shirt, kind of safari
he just
looking.
Plays the Rock in every movie that he's in.
Yeah,
and so I even heard a rumor that he does multiple movies at the same time, when he flies over to one to film a little bit and then flies over to another one to film it. That's how he has so many movies coming out, like in succession or whatever. But anyway,
that's awesome.
The dude rules. So whatever video game movie he's going to be in, I'll probably watch it because it's going to be it's going to be fun.
That's the thing, people are very quick to turn around and say, yeah, well, it's not really a cerebral experience. It's like, motherfucker, action movies never were. Like, it's like, big truck, big boom, big gun. I like that.
I'm not, but I got over that once I got to my 30s, trying to pretend that I care about filmmaking. Like I do to an extent. Like I can tell when a movie is well done and not well done. or well acted or not well acted. But most of the time, I don't fucking care. Like if the movie does something for me and
Yeah.
it has shitty acting in it, it doesn't matter. I don't care. So it's more like my experience with the movie. So that's why I've gotten so much more into embracing the shitty comedy or the shitty action movie or whatever, because I'm just like, I have a good time. Eventually, we're all going to be fucking, a bunch of dust, once we're all dead, and we're not going to go to heaven. If there is a heaven, we're not going to get there, and they're not going to be like, what kind of films did you like? So just fucking enjoy yourself and shut up. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. 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 Fucking enjoy yourself and shut up. That should be our new slogan.
Or if talking really loudly makes you enjoy yourself, continue to do that as well. Just don't expect anyone to listen to you.
That's gonna be what I tell my kids. Shut up and enjoy yourself.
I'm gonna turn this car around.
Yeah. Oh man. So are
we halfway through the ritual? Were we still talking about the ritual?
Yeah, actually I am. Yeah. I thought we'd gotten through it, but I've actually got the whole track list. Yeah, Deadline. Vocal melodies like this truly convinced me that Testament should make a big five, because these fuckers got hooks.
Yeah.
Like, even on their thrashy stuff. As the Seasons Grey, stomping mid-tempo thrash goodness. Fuck yeah. Agony. Now, this song in particular got me thinking, this is my favorite era of rock and metal for a reason, because for a brief, fleeting moment in the late 80s and early 90s, everything I love was at its peak simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, all the hair metal bands still sounded like hair metal bands. All the grunge bands were putting out their classic stuff. All the thrash bands were going in a radio-friendly direction, which I was nowhere near against, because I like songs. And so for this 4-year period of complete and utter nirvana, so to speak, which is funny because this was the era of that.
Yeah.
That it just cements to me why I love pretty much anything released between those years.
I like that you say things like that, because I feel vindicated a little bit, because I always thought that my love of that era from, the late 80s to the early 90s, I always thought, well, of course I love all that stuff because that's when I was coming of age as a teenager. But the fact that you are far removed from that, you just discovered it on your own, and it still has that kind of resonance with you, that makes me go, all right, maybe it is really good shit. And it has nothing to do with when I grew up. But so yeah, and for me also, that's when all the best hip hop stuff was coming out, late 80s, early 90s. You got golden age hip hop, then you're going into the fucking the god damn it, what's the fucking term? Whenever we don't talk about hip hop, so I don't have that shit loaded in my brain. But the New Jack Swing, once that
yeah, that's my New Jack Swing.
I must warn you. Yeah.
Poison.
So but yeah, I love that shit too. So you're right, this era,
yeah.
I would say leading up and R&B at that time was fucking great too. So I would say 92 is right in the thick of things still being pretty fucking badass, and Testament dropped this fucking badass album. So
yeah,
which we're almost done talking about.
Yeah. That's the thing. We got the sermon. My only major critique of this album, that it does go on a little bit long. 40 to 45 minutes is perfectly fine for a record, but this was the beginning of the CD era. And so people were taking advantage of the runtime. And initially, when a band comes out with an album and it's got a shit ton of music on it, you're like, oh, I have so much to dig into. And then, obviously that has its pros and cons. But then
most of the time, a really long album isn't necessary. But I mean, there's nothing on The Ritual that I don't like. So I don't know what they would remove.
Yeah, that's the thing. Return to Serenity as well. What an awesome. Like this one's a straight up early 90s metal ballad and I love it.
I just love that they did like five albums in a row with
Mm,
ballad type songs on it. And I miss that. I miss that so much. Like, just
yeah.
it just bums me out that that's a thing that people like
Thing of
turn
the
up their nose
past.
at. And I just
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. Bring back the power ballad. It's okay to cry.
But it doesn't, I mean, they don't have to be love songs. They could be Testament style ballads. Just like experiment with things a little bit and slow down the tempo and turn off the distortion for a little bit. Like, it's,
Yeah.
Y'all motherfuckers act like the song needs to be about pussy. It could be about dropping your toast on the floor, motherfucker. Just be sad.
not, challenge accepted. Let's write a song about dropping the toast on the floor.
Yeah. I did that the other day too. I felt legitimate defeat.
Immediately grabbed your guitar.
Yeah. I just took one look at it, like one tear went down my cheek, and I was like, man, that was the one that had the raspberry jam on it. That's my favorite.
Shit, man, you can't. And like at my house, you can't get away with that at all because I have 4 dogs. So
Yeah.
if something touches the ground for half a second,
It's gone.
and
Yeah.
I fucking sweep once, sometimes twice a week up all the shit. It doesn't matter. Food hits the ground, boom, dog hair is on it. It's like, so it's the worst thing in the world.
Oh man. But finally you get Troubled Dreams, evil sounding closer. It's definitely an album that is clearly from an era, and that era happens to be one of the greats, and in my opinion, the greatest. But yeah, that is my number 4, Le Ritual.
Also, that's 30 years old this year, correct?
It is 1992.
But I'm not going to talk about that album yet. I'm going to move up 2 years for my number 4, Low, from 1994.
Nice.
This album fucking rules so hard. And it's got James Murphy on guitar, who I love that guy. He was in Cancer. He was in a one-off death metal thing called Disincarnate. It's one of my favorite death metal albums. He also played in Obituary. That dude just shows up, does some badass shit, and then moves on. And he's great. Plus, you got John Tempesta on drums. John Tempesta's a great drummer. And we've already talked about how great the song Low is for an intro. This album is just like, I just love, like, here's the thing. It's good that we're coming out of this, you talking about The Ritual, me talking about Low, because Testament as a band, the reason why I consider them one of my favorite bands is because of this, these particular 2 albums. Like, I love Low because it comes after The Ritual, and vice versa. Like, both of them are so well done for what they're trying to do that I'm just like, it's almost like, once we're at this point, once we're at this number 4, like, these 4 albums, it's so hard for me to choose which one I love the most, because if I'm, depending on what kind of mood I'm in, Low is sometimes the only album that's going to do it for me, Testament wise. So yeah, they got heavier, turned up the groove element. Just the fact that this band decides to do something a little different and then they nail it like several times. And it sounds great. It's produced by Garth, which, that guy apparently rules as a producer because he's been on a lot of shit that sounds fantastic, and this album sounds fantastic. We talked about this already, but it is a killer album, killer songs. But yeah, like I said,
are
tons of great riffs. But like I said earlier, this is the last piece of the Testament puzzle. Like, once they reach Low, all of the elements of what modern Testament have now all been explored. And ever since, Formation of Damnation, well, I guess The Gathering, they have been taking all of these different elements and making it like the Testament soup, if you will. And so yeah, so Low is an amazing album, and it's my number 4. So then we'll move on to your number 3.
Long as I will be giving my love to you.
Oh, now you moved over to Bobby Brown. You went from Belle Biv DeVoe to Bobby Brown.
Dude, like, again, like I say, the GTA San Andreas' soundtrack is an absolute education in that whole era.
Speaking of that, they just released all these new Dr. Dre songs that came from, I guess, the remastered Grand Theft Auto or something.
It was a GTA Online expansion, like, of missions that you had to do for, like, Dr. Dre, and I think that's really cool.
There's some great. I mean, it's like 5 or 6 different songs, and they're all really good. So, man. We also did go back and listen to that when we did Dr. Dre. Oh, we did a video of that too. Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and
we're not recording right now.
NWA. You're not recording?
No, I was gonna do we're doing the halfway break, ain't we?
Oh, I'm still recording on the video, so whatever. Who cares? This will be a special for the video people.
Oh, okay. Well, that little special is gonna be cut short by a little pee break because.
All right, go ahead.
You get to see my PlayStation pajamas.
I'll probably cut this part out unless you want me to have on the video. Here's the part where Eddie goes to the loo.
Let's fuck it. Warts and all. Let's do it.
All right, now I'm going to edit it. Okay, and then I'll do a nice, cool edit right here for Eddie drinking water.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good to stay hydrated, folks.
I'm right.
Especially
this
because
episode
we're only
is
halfway.
Sponsored by water.
Can we get that? You're sponsored by water?
I think I did that gag in a really old Eddie Sparxx video. It wasn't even an Eddie Sparxx video. It was an old Eddie McAtee's pre Eddie Sparxx, me just fucking around on the old channel. Wow, that's a throwback.
Yep. And for us, if we'd have to be sponsored by tap water. Like it wouldn't be a water company. You know, we wouldn't get fucking Dasani or some shit.
Nah.
It'd be sponsored by tap water. Just go to your sink right now. And get some.
Sponsored by your local reservoir.
Make sure you have a filter.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same thing over in England, but over here, like tap water, you know, you don't just drink it. Get a filter.
Yeah, so like I remember hearing about Flint, Michigan having like crazy polluted water.
I believe they still have crazy polluted water in Flint, Michigan. So yeah, that's how great our country is that people suffer somewhere and the country just goes, we got other things to do.
Sorry guys, we were gonna fix that, but the vibe was off, you know.
Yeah.
It happens.
We got all wrapped up in some other thing and we just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
Your number 3, sir, is where we are.
Sorry, I was just orientating myself with all of my gubbins on the screen.
Gubbins, that's a new term that I'm now learning. What does that mean?
I shit everywhere. Is what I'm
all right.
It.
Well, get ready for a bunch of gubbins, folks, because it's a
bunch of gubbins.
it's just gubbins from here on out, or for the entire episode, really.
That's what if I ever get like a crazy successful career enough to have a greatest hits album, I'm just gonna call it a bunch of gubbins.
I always liked how the ZZ Top greatest hits album. Have you ever seen the cover of that, where it's just got a bunch of like
which one
scantily clad women? And it says greatest hits, but there's a microphone hanging in front of it, so it makes it look like greatest tits. Good move, ZZ Top.
You gotta love it. Where am I at? Number three. Number three. My brain do be farting. Cool.
Maybe you need a doobie. Is that an old man reference saying doobie?
We just gotta train a gag so just won't end. um, cool. Number three. My number three is The Legacy.
Okay, there you go.
And my reasons are as follows. Over the Wall, absolutely perfect way to open this album. What a thrash classic.
Yeah,
You get the haunting. Not only are the leads in Testament impeccable, but even the rhythm parts have me astounded, and this is one of them. Burnt Offerings, that kind of spooky intro going into the groovy riff, and then like that evil verse riff. Everything here is awesome.
yeah,
The production is a bit murky, but I feel like that adds to the album's scary kind of vibe. Because I remember, like, as a young metalhead, when I first saw that album cover, I was like, "This looks fucking scary, dude!" like my very like 12-year-old impression of seeing that like skull-looking thing in a window. I was like I wouldn't want to wake up and see that. But then you get Raging Waters. The Devil's Triangle fucking always gets me.
Mhm.
Curse of the Legions of Death, or COTLOD. We got a 2-for-1 deal there. We got the brackets and we got the full stops. Holy shit, that was a good one. Or in layman's terms, Cotlod. This is
that doesn't sound like anything good.
no. Sounds like
You know what? I'm not
yeah.
going to be able to make it to work today. I got a really bad case of Cotlod.
It's a new strain of ligma. Have you heard those ligma jokes?
No.
Ligma balls, bitch.
Oh, that was good. That was a good
It's
one.
that's an offshoot of Sugma, but that's a real disease, people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Curse of the Legions of Death, unrelenting, rippingly fast song. Probably one of the fastest thrash songs I think of when someone, mentions what's the fastest thrash song you know. It's one of them. What do you think the fastest thrash song you know is while it's on my mind?
I don't know. Necrophobic by Slayer. Maybe
That one's quick.
Imitation of Life by Anthrax is really fast.
Ooh.
Um,
Arise, Sepultura. That one's quick.
yeah, Arise is a fast one. But I think Necrophobic is like it's got to be that's really fast. But I don't know.
Yeah.
If anybody out there knows, I'm sure somebody out there has gone and listened and measured the BPMs or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah.
And then and come out with an answer to that. So somebody let us know.
I also want to reiterate fastest thrash song that is possible to be played by humans, because nowadays you can MIDI shit that's like 900 BPM and it's like no mortal man is hitting that shit.
also for it to be legit, the cutoff has to be in the 90s. Like anything past the 90s, I don't trust it. I don't trust modern drumming at all.
Mm. Yeah, it's a shame. It's like a toxic boyfriend. It promises you a lot, but does it deliver? Do or Die, killer track. Oh no! How could I forget to talk about First Strike is Deadly? Hold on. Some of the most blood-curdling high screams ever put to tape are on this song. Like, First Strike is Deadly! Like, absolutely mental stuff. Like, early Chuck Billy is a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
Like, Do or Die, killer song. Alone in the Dark is the most melodic of all the tracks on here. And Apocalyptic City is an awesome closer. It's a very all killer, no filler, balls to the wall album.
Yeah.
Like I say, the production's a bit muddy compared to their more tightened production as they would go on. But the songs are so undeniably furious that you just don't question it while it's happening. It's too brutally quick to comprehend sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue it's a classic, but I do understand why you put it at like You put it at 6 or 5 or 6?
6, yeah.
6, yeah. I understand that because I feel
I
as
mean,
though they would get better.
Yeah, the only, I mean, the big reason is that, of course, it's at number 6. If you think about how I feel about the last, all these last albums I'm talking about, even coming into my number 3, which that's why I think you and I are cut from the same cloth, because we both have this album up high. Number 3 for me is The Ritual from 1992. Nice. I feel this is one that is legitimately an underrated album. Like there's albums that this deserves so much more love than it gets. I'll say the same shit over and over again, but that's what makes a great band is albums like this in their discography, where you get different kinds of things that are very well done. And obviously, if you're coming into Testament wanting the fast old school thrash sound, this isn't what you're going to want, but that's no reason to look at it and go like, this album isn't any good, or this album they were sellouts or whatever. I mean, because it's like,
yeah,
that's the thing, is that like I've said it about the Black Album, and I'll say it about all these other albums. Like there's no guarantee that any of this shit was going to make them rich or famous. It's just your gut instinct of what do we want to do next. And I love this album. It's the last with the classic Testament lineup. Funny enough, recorded at the same studio as the Black Album. Did you know that?
I think I do. I think I do remember
One-on-One Studios.
That. Wow.
Which I don't think exists anymore. I think One-on-One Studios was shut down. I don't remember. But yeah, this album
sorry. I think it was acquired by a different company and renamed.
Okay.
I think it's still there, but it's under different ownership.
Okay. But yeah, I agree. I think this album should have been huge. I mean, that literally should be the beginning of every episode that we do. Like, we could be wrong.
Yeah. we need like that South Park disclaimer at the start that always plays, where it's like, this shouldn't be viewed by anyone.
Well, I mean, eventually, like if we ever actually got to the point where we were making money off this and we had a staff, we would have somebody on hand to be like, can you look that up real quick, so we're not talking out of our asses, so we don't have to do it.
To make sure we're spreading the exact right amount of COVID misinformation.
Exactly. So
don't worry, we're not pulling ourselves from Spotify anytime soon.
we don't, there's no, that's that it's funny because like that kind of thing does strike me as like, we're the people that should be showing up being like, we're pulling our stuff from Spotify, and literally nobody gives a shit. it's like we're backing up Neil Young on this, but like everyone's like, who the fuck are you? even old people, young people, nobody knows who you are. You're completely irrelevant.
Oh, it's like you see on the news the next day, you like just switch on the TV. The radical group, otherwise known as the Peanut Butter Platypuses, have stormed the Capitol once more. Like,
oh man. And we only did it because we needed to use the bathroom. We're just like,
insurrection.
So yeah, The Ritual. Anyway, I feel like the problem with this album is that maybe it was a year or two too late. Like maybe if it had come out in 1991, it would have been more successful. I mean, I think it was moderately successful for them, but it just didn't blow up in the way that I think that it should have. Because it should have been. I feel like, Black Album was huge. Countdown to Extinction seemed like it did pretty damn well too, and I feel like this should have at least done that level, Countdown to Extinction level, popularity and sales and whatnot. But there's so much great songwriting on this, and I just love the fact that they was like, you know what, let's slow it down, let's branch out, and they fucking nailed it. And it's still heavy. It still sounds like a Testament album to me. Like all the elements are still there. It's just they're presented in a different way. But yeah, it's one of their best albums in my opinion. All of these albums, like, have their place. Like, I think up one all the way through, my number 4, my top 4 could to me all just be a joint number 1 for different reasons.
Yeah.
And the only difference here with the Ritual is that it's not the best example of Testament. So if somebody came to me and said, I've heard of this band Testament, what do they sound like? I wouldn't give them the Ritual, but it would be one of the first albums I recommended. Be like, after you listen to this album and maybe this one, don't sleep on the Ritual, because it's fucking great. So yeah, I don't have much more to add from what you said. It's a great album and deserves more love. So the Ritual is my number 3.
Cool. So my number
2, top 2,
number 2, baby. Let's do this. So my number 2 is The New Order.
Cool.
So the production gets an upgrade. Everything is much clearer, but still retains that dark, mysterious aura paired with the chunky, heavy, chaotic sound that they created on the debut.
Yeah.
And right out of the gate, Eerie Inhabitants is awesome. It tears you a new one. The New Order title track, frantic chorus. The Phrygian Eastern guitar harmonies in Testament are a gift to this undeserving world.
I like that. They should put that on the back of one of their albums.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly support that. If I got a quote on the back of a Testament album, I've made it, people.
True.
That is success. Trial by Fire is one of my favorite, like, top 3 Testament songs. This is exactly what I come to this band for, with like heaviness, that groove thrash sort of thing that they just nail, and catchy hooks, Into the Pit, that riff is pure evil and I love it. It sounds so sinister, specifically designed for moshing, and it shows. Hypnosis is this I couldn't have been more 80s when I wrote this. It was like totally rad instrumental spooky track. Now I suppose that this is where on the record you would be flipping it over because it's straight in the middle of the album, which is cool. But I remember hearing this obviously on a CD when I was buying CDs because I was a teenager, and I've told this story. When I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, that was cool. And then Disciples of the Watch also opens with like a spooky clean guitar. And I was like, couldn't they have just like run that straight into that? And it's like, they probably did, but they just had to turn it down and turn it back up to make it work on a record. But yeah, and then you get the tasteful soloing on this album is amazing. Disciples of the Watch is a ripper of a song.
Yeah.
The Preacher, more ripping. So it's got one of the cheekiest riffs ever too. Nobody's Fault, Aerosmith cover, and a damn good one. It fits their style really well. A Day of Reckoning. The thing I love so much about this album and the ones following it is that they don't always feel the need to go at like Slayer speeds. To me, the best thrash is when a band finds like they do a nasty upbeat kind of thing, but also have a mid-tempo chug zone, where they can go like, love it. And then Musical Death, Dirge. This is like next level composition right here. This is like neoclassical stuff. And like the irony of it at the time, if this was played by an orchestra or written by Mozart, the old folks would like heap praise on it. But sure, heavy metal is a waste of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, incredible album. Fuck yeah. How to follow up a classic 101. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So if
numero dos.
If anyone had any money on what our rankings would be and thought that this was going to be a matchup for our top 2, you were right. You have we have a matchup for our top 2. My number 2 is The New Order from 1988.
Nice.
I don't really have much more to add. This album is amazing and an absolute classic. Like I said, you know, the gripes I have about the legacy, like they're totally improved here. Everything is improved. Songwriting, lyrics, performances, and production, everything is a big step up, in my opinion. And it's just banger after banger. So here's the thing. And this is exactly how I felt when I did my old ranking a few years ago or whatever. It's a really good album, but when you really boil it down, it's only 7 actual Testament songs on this album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have Nobody's Fault, which is an amazing song, a great Aerosmith song, and their version is great. Funny enough, they did a video for it, for Nobody's Fault, which is like weird that they chose. Well, I guess at that point it was kind of a thing that you did cover songs and you would do videos for them, like Antisocial and stuff like that.
Aerosmith also had like a big second wind in the late 80s. So
I guess they did, because 87 was Permanent Vacation. So yeah, this would have been right at that point. But and then they have instrumentals, which the instrumentals are great, but you know, from Alex Skolnick's mouth, he said they only did those in order to fill time because the album was already too short. So they did these instrumentals to you know, make it a little longer, and it's still a short album, but to me, it's a perfect. I love albums that are around 30 minutes. Like,
yeah, same.
You don't understand how fucking happy. I'm not going to talk about what I think about it because that'll come later on in another show. But the new Korn album just came out and it's 33 minutes long. And I'm like, fuck yes. That is how you fucking do it. Don't waste any time. 33 minutes. And anyway, I just love that, especially people doing it today. I'm just like, yeah. 30 to 40 minutes. Hit me with that. Boom. That if it's quality shit, guess what? I'm gonna play this shit again. So
yeah.
Anyway, so New Order is one of the best thrash albums ever, in my opinion. But yeah, it's has its things that I can't put it at number one just because it's amazing. But I feel like they would improve on this, even though this is a classic. They, to me, take this and do it better with our joint number one. You want to go ahead and bring it on in?
Practice what you preach. Preach.
Our timing is always wonderful with the technology of Zoom. Anyway, yeah, practice what you preach. Our joint number one. So from 1989, this is my introduction to Testament. So that there's an important thing there. But let's jump into it. You get into it, babes.
Cheers.
It's funny because that's what I call my wife a lot.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a cheeky thing that I'll say to you, and I'm just like, oh, maybe, you know, hopefully she doesn't get jealous because we you and I have a good relationship, but you're not my type.
Oh, she's mad jealous. She keeps texting me. Has he said it again? But I mean, what can I say? This album I slept on for a little bit. I'd heard The Legacy and I'd heard The New Order, and I bought this one as well. But because you ever get it where you kind of buy albums in bulk and it takes a minute for like one of them to sink in, but when it does, it becomes your favorite of all of them. That's what happened here. And I remember the first time I actually gave this album a proper listen, I was about 15, and I was in a like study room revising for a test, and I decided kind of sucks sitting here in silence, so I kind of snuck my iPod out of my pocket, and because I was in a certain area of the room where I could get away with having a headphone, and I was like, I just put one in, and I only heard like half of the album, so to speak, but I was hearing these thrash songs that had massive hooks, and I thought, oh my god, this is the best one I've heard yet. How the fuck was I sleeping on this album? Because I'll jump into my track by track. Practice What You Preach. They finally reached that full-on 50-50 balance of heaviness and catchiness. Like, it is apparent from the very start of this album that you are in for a damn good experience. Perilous Nation only doubles down on that, because you can kind of tell that this was a post and Justice for All album because of the kick drum alone is quite clicky, but
But
on
there's
the
so many examples of this drum sound, and so many, not even the same producers sometimes. Like this, like the producer of this album, I think was also responsible for When the Storm Comes Down by Flotsam and Jetsam, which is widely regarded as a shittily produced album. But but I don't. It doesn't bother me here. But like there are a lot of albums from this era where the drums and especially the kick drums are really loud. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the little ASMR segment.
Joy.
But yeah, something as well, like at least with this one, you can hear the bass, even if it is very like jangly and MIDI. But I kind of like that about the album, because I would much prefer albums to have unique sonic qualities than just be cookie cutter what people think is good all the time.
Yeah.
And while, like, from an objective standpoint, this might not be the quote unquote best sounding Testament album.
No, I would say that's either The Ritual or Low would be the best sounding Testament albums. But yeah.
But from a songwriting perspective, like, I look at like these track listings and all I can think of is choruses. Time is coming. Yeah. The last soul of time, envy life. Like,
that song gets stuck in my head to this day, even when I'm not even listening to Testament albums.
You're as good as dead.
It'll just somehow be in my head.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. You can start to hear. It's kind of like if "Let Go of My World" like lasted a whole album, because I love that song. And like, oh man, you get 4 insanely catchy songs in a row right out of the gate with this album. Then you get Blessed in Contempt, which is real thrashy. Greenhouse Effect. They really know their mean guitar harmonies. They know how to make something sound like you wouldn't want to pick a fight with it. Sins of Omission is more undiluted, awesome, great chorus. And, you get the ballad. It's cool. I won't skip it. In terms of songs, it's probably my least favorite on the record in terms of flow.
Yeah.
But I do really like it. Then you get Nightmare. Coming back to you. Yeah. It's an up-tempo punky thrasher. And then you get Confusion Fusion, which is this cool instrumental closer. And this album is tighter in production. It's got catchy songs. It's still in the thrash zone. And it is the perfect all-rounder, all-encompassing classic Testament record, in my opinion.
I agree. I absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better.
What he said.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Yeah, this is one of my favorite albums, period. Yeah. It's remained an album that I've loved ever since I first heard it. And everything is improved here. But the big thing for me is Chuck Billy's vocals. They all of a sudden they're more dynamic.
Yeah.
And the lyrics all of a sudden get better, because like all of a sudden it's not occult type shit. It's more political, social kind of stuff, which I've always
goes from like Dungeons and Dragons to An Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah, which I mean, obviously some people would prefer things to be, Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, but I've always preferred lyrics about real shit, because like that's, to me, real life is scarier than some story about a demon. I mean, the Satan stuff is cute, but it only goes so far with me. It's just, that I don't know. So a lot of my favorite thrash bands are the ones that usually shied away from being all like devil and Satan and shit like that. yeah, I just love the fact that like they clearly were just so good at what they were doing that they just branched out as songwriters, as performers, riff writers, everything. Obviously like this isn't this. I wouldn't call this their most varied album, but I would say that definitely it's their strongest like song to song album.
Yeah.
I think the ballad's great. I've always really liked the ballad because the ballad it doesn't have like verse, chorus, verse structure to it. And I've always liked that, how the song just kind of builds. It doesn't really have like a back and forth. And cause like you think of a ballad and it always has soft verse, big chorus, but this doesn't have that. It gets bigger at the end. That's what she said. But you know, it's just a great song. And I've said it before, I want more bands to do ballads. Not just that.
Wait, yours gets bigger after?
No, well, near the end. Near the end. Okay. Once it's over, then it's, you know, all bets are off. But and even like instrumentals, like, you know, it's Confusion Fusion. I like, it's a great closer to the album. And that's another thing that I wish bands would do. I don't mean give me a 2-minute intro, like do an instrumental and try to do something interesting that doesn't need vocals, especially bands that don't have a lead vocalist. Like if everyone plays instruments, which obviously isn't Testament, but I just wish that it was more, I wish that metal fans were better. Because I hate the fact that I know that Testament probably for the most part do whatever they want, but I also feel like bands like them and all these other sort of old school thrash bands, they're all very talented, but I hate that it seems like they're stuck in this thrash metal box where there's no wiggle room. And if there was, then we would get more instrumentals. We would get more slower tempoed stuff. We would get an album where they decided to do something very different than what they did before. But the fact that it's just it's become such a given that metal fans are just going to be mad, that it's just created a shitty environment for metal bands. It's just, and yeah, I won't go on and on about that because I've said that enough times on my channel that metal fans are the problem with metal. It's not the bands. Some of the bands are shitty, but for the most part, I really do think that it's the mentality that you're not supposed to do anything different. But you know, practice what you preach. To me, like I said before, if somebody came to me and said, "Who's Testament?" this is the album that I would give to them. Because it sounds the most like classic Testament, but also the best presentation of what that classic Testament sound was. And so it's my number one. It's our joint number one. I had a feeling because I knew that you really liked this album. And so
it was on my 1989 list way back when.
Yeah.
That's an early one.
That's been a while. But yeah, we did it. So 3, 2, 1. We did it.
Nice.
Testament done. I know that's not what Chuck Billy does, but it's the only way that I can do it. The inhale. Would that be considered a pig squeal?
Yeah, I was doing a
Chris Barnes is right. Death metal vocals now are lame. Now, here's the problem. Have you seen all that controversy? Chris Barnes talking shit about death metal vocalists now. So here's the problem. He's right, but he's the wrong person to be making that argument. Because sure, he was really important back in the day, but he's really not great now. Sorry, Chris, if you happen to watch, but I'm not a 6 Feet Under fan, and I don't think his vocals are very good anymore. That's just one man's opinion. So it's almost like John Tardy needs to say that. Okay, so get somebody that still has the chops. needs to say these things.
Death metal vocals are bad now.
That would be pretty good.
Jump to hell.
Feel the blood spill from your mouth. I just found out I can do a pretty good John Tardy.
Yeah, I mean, good enough anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so I mean,
Pretty
that's
good.
That's for a different show. When we talk about death metal.
Cracked and ranked.
No, it'd have to be cracked and ranked.
You need like a few South Park Timmy ad libs in there.
But yes. So Testament, that fully ranked. We hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of tangents. I mean, I've made it my goal that, you know, whenever something pops into my head, I'm gonna say it, because I feel like a lot of people enjoy it. I know that there's at least one of you out there that does not enjoy our humor.
Okay.
But and probably a lot of people that just move on because they were like, oh, damn it, why can't they just do these rankings in 20 minutes? Why do they got to be 2-hour videos?
Hey, they're not the peanut butter platypuses though. They're the peanut butter piece of shit.
Oh yeah, that's what they are. That's a good callback too. I don't even remember what episode that was from that I said that. Yeah, mugs. You can buy a mug that says peanut butter platypus and has our ugly mugs on the mug, and you can drink your coffee out of it. Yeah.
Ow.
So that's the end of Testament. Don't do that, man.
Yeah, it's bad for my eyesight.
I mean, I guess we don't necessarily need your eyes for this show, so whatever. Poke away.
I come back and I've just blinded myself for no reason.
You're gonna
to prove I could.
You're gonna be like the Scorpions album cover with like the forks in your eyes or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm just screaming the entire time in complete agony as glass shatters around me.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Of course, we'd have to fix the shattering sounds in post, but hey ho. Cross that bridge. I don't know how to do these things. That's why we need everybody out there to promote this show, so eventually we can get some money and a crew so we can actually have some production value to our shit. Because right now it's just two dudes. You know, I like the fact that you know, the podcasting world and the YouTube world exists to allow this kind of thing to happen. But how long is it going to take before all of a sudden it nobody cares anymore? Like two dudes talking. Because every other day there's a new channel that pops up with another dude who's like, here's my favorite metal albums. I'm like, dude, okay, at this point, dude, you are jumping into a huge pool of you. I mean, you got to bring something new. I don't want to say that we are like the forbidden of the podcast scene, but we are kind of crazy underrated.
Really fucking good, but not appreciated anywhere near enough. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Pretty like fucking unappreciated, Al.
That's a diehard, right?
It is.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, on that
greatest Christmas movie ever. I'm not the first guy to say that.
No. Die Hard 2, also a very good Christmas movie. Anyway, before we get into a Die Hard tangent,
with we'll do that Muppets Christmas Carol sandwiched perfectly in the middle.
All right. So that's the end of this episode of Cranked and Ranked. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for watching. Peanut Butter Platypus to all of you out there. Go buy some merch. Go donate to your local charity, because you know we got to promote some good too. Go do that. But if you have money left over, buy some merch. Anyway, all right, cool. So that's the end of this episode. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode of Cranked and Ranked. And as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.